Welcome to Sheriff's Talk, brought to you by the Missouri Sheriff's Association. During this episode and ones that follow, we'll be talking with sheriffs from across the state regarding topics relating to county law enforcement and jails. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
The Missouri Sheriff's Association, or MSA, was established in 1945 with the goal to support the sheriffs of Missouri and their staff by offering law enforcement training, legislative support, and technical support. MSA offers memberships, agency contracts, and vendor partnerships, and each comes with their own variety of perks like full access to the learning management system and support, tax-deductible contributions, membership card, vehicle decals, sheriff and jail magazine subscriptions, advertisement opportunities, reduced training prices, access to webinars, podcasts, and training, and CCW support. Join the Missouri Sheriff's Association and proudly display your support for your local law enforcement and Missouri sheriffs. Your tax-deductible contributions will go a long way to ensure the Office of Sheriff in Missouri remains strong, independent office, answerable to those citizens that it is sworn to serve and protect. Your support is what makes the Missouri Sheriff's Association great. So visit mosheriffs.com and become a member today.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Sheriff's Talk. I'm your host, Sam Boyd, and I believe this is going to be probably the 9th episode. We would like to thank our sponsors for sponsoring this show. I am here with Franklin County Sheriff Steve Pelton. How are you doing, Sheriff?
Doing good.
So
glad to be on today, and hello to the listeners out there.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Franklin County.
Franklin County, we border St. Louis County. We're in the eastern part of the state. We're the 4th largest county in the state of Missouri. We have a population of about 110,000 people, roughly. We have 7 police departments within the county. And really where we're located at, we're very blessed. Our citizens really support law enforcement. It's just a great place to be in law enforcement.
Okay. How many sworn officers do you have?
With our reserve unit, we got about 140 sworn officers. We have a full-time staff at the sheriff's office to include the support staff of 157.
Okay. And then that's jail staff in that 157?
Correct.
How many, you do have a jail, I believe. Yep, you have a jail. So how many beds do you have for inmates?
We're total capacity at 272. We call it full at 232. That way it gives you a little bit of room to move people around and stuff like that if you have to. Our jail is fairly new. We moved into the jail in December of 2020. We took a tax initiative to our people, which we're very thankful for. We come out of a old jail. It was built in 1986 and just wasn't in compliance anymore. And building was just outdated. And it was costing us so much money. It was such a money pit. So we're pretty proud of the new facility. It's very state of the art. And, when you talk about jails, most of the listeners out there don't realize it's truly a community inside of a community.
Right.
So we're very fortunate to have the voter and public support when it comes to building it, because it was something that was much needed.
Absolutely. And there's numerous counties around the state could probably use a new jail.
Yes.
Do you house federal inmates?
We do house federal inmates. We also house for some surrounding counties that don't have jails, so we help out when it comes to that aspect. Currently, our count's right around 200 average daily population. Out of that 200, as of yesterday, I think we had 26 federal inmates, and we had 10 adjoining counties inmates that we was housing for them. So really monetarily wise, it was a fiscal decision, which made sense. The U.S. Marshals were looking for a place to house, and the cost of doing business with inflation, it was just so high. We had the spare beds and, the food service, the medical contracts, just keeping the electric bill on.
Right.
Got to a point, because in the beginning when we built it, I really wasn't interested in housing, but I wanted to defer that cost away from our taxpayers and have it paid by somebody else. So it was a fiscally conservative, sound money decision to do that. And to be perfectly honest with you, they really don't give us any problems. We already have a jail that's open 24/7 anyway. So it was no additional resources or anything, but it does bring in some revenues to offset the cost.
You gave me an idea. We probably should do an episode on what it takes to run a jail, and all those community services or community involved things that are inside that jail that help it operate, and what it takes to run a jail.
Yeah,
So that
most
might be a good
people,
episode,
and the things that come with it,
right?
the programs. Like one of the things we want to do is we bring in several. We have church services every night of the week except for one. So we're bringing in different denominations. Of course, they're vetted and screened, and we're giving them opportunities for them Christian values for the ones that want to attend. We're bringing in Narcotics Anonymous. We're bringing in Alcohol Anonymous. One of the most exciting things I've seen, I know we're way off track, but I'm going to say it anyway because I was really excited about it. We did a baptism at the beginning of the year that our jail superintendent, our captain, kind of coordinated for the people that wanted to come forward and get baptized. And I think we had 60 people on the list to get baptized. We had to do it over 3 different nights. So when people think of a jail, they just think of, what they see in the movies with the bars, but there's so much more that comes with that.
There's not really a restaurant, but you got a restaurant, a medical clinic, a barber shop, a library, a grocery store. You got all those kind of things inside of a jail that are going on.
That's what I said. It's a community inside of a community. It really is.
Well, we're here today to talk about the Citizens Academy, and I don't know a whole lot about the Citizens Academy. I know what it is, but tell me a little bit about what a Citizens Academy is.
So there's several sheriff's offices across the state that has implemented Citizens Academy. We started ours off in 2018. It was one of the things I wanted to do. It was one of the things I campaigned on because truly the office of sheriff belongs to the people, and the more people you can get involved in that to see the open, honest, transparent inside looking out. Most people don't have the knowledge that comes with it, just like the stuff we was talking about when it come to the jail. So we put the program together and we implemented a Citizens Academy. The very first one we did, another campaign promise that I wanted to implement was increasing our community watch base. When I took office, we had 3 solid community watch groups. So on the very first Citizens Academy, we kind of handpicked them from people who had been talking to me that wanted to start community watch groups in their areas. So you can call them the group commander, the group captain, whatever you want to call them, the facilitator for their particular area. So the very first one, when we put it together, we targeted people that wanted to start community watch groups because law enforcement you can't do alone. You're stronger together. And when you got the citizens on board and the citizens helping out, that makes a difference. So the very first academy, and our academy is a 12-week academy. The first night is so important. It's introduction, orientation, and kind of lays the groundwork and the agenda for what it's going to do. But more importantly, it's that icebreaker to build relationships. So our chief deputy, Major Wild, he did a fantastic job putting this together. And really it is his baby as far as coordination. And I just can't say enough good things about this guy because he done really well. So the icebreaker on the first night is to get people talking because you want that group to come together.
Right.
And you want that group to be involved in the conversations and to ask the questions. And you know how it is. It's awkward sometimes when you sit in a group of people that you don't know anybody in. So we spend a first couple hours of that first evening just getting to know each other and letting them introduce themselves, why they want to be in the class, what their interest is in the sheriff's office in our county. And that pays big dividends because after that, the group clicks. Somebody always finds something in common and it goes well together. So after the orientation, we break it down into the different divisions we have with the sheriff's office. So obviously you got the patrol division, you've got traffic safety, you have the jail, you have investigations, you have crimes against children, especially with the use of the internet now.
Right.
That is something that our investigators are identifying suspects all over the world and in different states. Of course, we're referring it to the proper authorities there whenever we find somebody that's taking advantage of our most vulnerable in society. And then community outreach programs, and then we talk about what we do with school safety, and then we try and mix them 12 weeks up with 2 field exercise classes. And we try and stage them out about 3 weeks apart, 4 weeks apart. That way they get a chance to get out of the chairs and they get a chance to experience some of the stuff. So, for example, we talked a little bit about jail. One of the topics on the jail is most of the people that come to our Citizens Academy has never been in jail, but they hear stories. So we give a tour of the jail, and it's really eye-opening just to see some of the requirements that we have to abide by and to make sure the inmates are safe that are being housed there. Everybody's innocent till proven guilty. However, every jail in the state of Missouri is a maximum security facility because you might be housing somebody with a misdemeanor shoplifting warrant there, but you also might have homicide suspects there. For example, currently we have 5 homicide suspects awaiting trial that's in our jail. So every jail is a maximum security facility. People don't understand that. So it goes in depth about how the classification works. You don't want a 23-year-old kid that's got a bunch of traffic warrants that just failed to show up in court in with a hardened criminal, somebody that's done time in Missouri Department of Corrections for 10, 15 years, been in and out of the system, and it's got a criminal history 2-3 inches thick. So there's classifications that come in that with minimum, medium, and maximum security. Of course, the segregation of the males and females within this facility. So just taking that tour and getting that grasp on that is key. So, and they always love that evening where they get a chance to take a inside depth look at the jail. And it's more than just the inmates, it's the design of the facility itself.
Right.
You know, you want some, we're pretty proud that ours is efficient and really does the job we want it to do. So that's just one aspect of it. You know, when we talk about patrol, we talk about some of our successes, we talk about some of our challenges. When we get into investigations, you know, a lot of people watch this CSI and these shows on TV, which is not realistic. And some people just don't understand the full system. You know, I probably get calls. I got a call this morning of a citizen that called up wanting to know why somebody got released from jail on his own recognizance. There's some people out there that think the sheriff has the authority to hold somebody in jail or not hold somebody in jail, which is the furthest from the truth as you can get. You know, they're bound there by the courts, somebody with authority. You know, I always tease and say, you know, if I had the authority to keep hardened criminals in jail, we'd be asking the taxpayer to build a bigger jail because there needs to be a consequence for an action. But just explaining the investigation aspect, and one of the nights we explain actually how the court systems work from the original investigation of the crime up into the trial and all the steps in between that, the discovery process, the suppression hearings, the jury selection, the appeal process after that. And most people have no idea the length of time that takes to get that through there.
Bond rules, and you know that goes into what you just said.
Yeah,
you know, Rule 33 kind of put some language out there about bonds and things like that. So, you know, depending on the judge and or the area, bond can be more lenient than in other areas, depending on just
correct,
what
and the
happens.
past history that comes with that.
Yeah.
And then with the Bond 33 rule, you know, you got to have bond hearings every few days,
Right.
and show why that person's still a danger. So a lot of times we have our investigators and our patrol guys testifying at them and saying he is a danger to society in order to keep that person incarcerated and keep them from being on the streets and reoffending. So some of the other things we do is SWAT operations. Most people don't understand SWAT operations and use of force and the Fourth Amendment, and how that really applies to law enforcement. So the nice thing is once we run through the gamut of the different classes, there's a lot of feedback that comes back, a lot of fantastic questions. And in the field exercises, we actually get out of the seats. We let them tour some of the SWAT vehicles, some of the equipment. We let them don the big flak jackets that we use on entry vests. Our drone program and why we use the drone program. And probably one of the best nights there is that people enjoy the most is the canine demonstrations.
Okay.
It's so funny because in our Citizens Academy, we usually cap at about 20 to 21 people. You get much more than that when you break up into groups of 3 for the different scenario nights. It's just too many people to get engaged in it, if you would. So we wanted everybody an opportunity to have that. So the canines, I just love being there for this because we'll get the canines out, and truly, ours is full duty police dogs. So they do narcotics, they do tracking, and they do apprehension. So when you get the dogs out, the dogs, as they are, they're just big old lovers. So the dogs will come around and just steal the love from everybody. Everybody's petting them. They're laying on the ground.
Students put the sleeve and the jacket on and all that stuff?
We don't do that.
Okay.
It's our canine handlers that do that, and part of the training that they do, they know how to don that. So in the beginning, they're just rubbing the dog's belly and everything. And then we get into the demonstration with finding narcotics, finding lost articles, and we even do tracking where we take the dog inside the building and then we lay a track and we get our blood hand out and let them track it. But when we do that demonstration where they put the sleeves on and they do the apprehension or protect the deputy drills, because our dogs are trained to protect the deputy in the event of an altercation, after they watch that dog attack that aggressor, when it comes to that, and then the dog afterwards, that's a reward for that dog, just like fetching a ball. Mm-hmm. So afterwards, the dog will want to come over and get some loving from some of our people in the Citizens Academy, and they're all very nervous and backing up.
I don't know if I want to pet that dog or not.
So then I usually get down with the dog after that point and show them that this dog has no mean malice to it. It truly, that's how it's trained, and it's a reward for the dog. And it's been very instrumental in catching criminals and keeping deputies out of harm's way when it comes to making entries with a barricaded subject or somebody that's been violent and is threatening to kill law enforcement. Them canines have done a fantastic job when it goes to that. So part of this also is we do the firearms training simulator. We have one in our facility that we use for training, and we give our citizens an opportunity to experience that, because truly a law enforcement officer is making split-second decisions, that you would pay millions of dollars to have a fraction of a second back. So once they get an opportunity to experience that, and we don't set them up for failure, we give them some of the training and scenarios that we would give our law enforcement officers. So it gives an inside look at some of the challenges that we're faced with. And it also gives us a chance to do our successes. So we try and cap it at 3 hours a night. So it's a 12-week program, 3 hours a night. We understand if somebody's got to miss, life happens and stuff like that. And then more importantly, at the end of each night, we have them fill out critiques, because we want that to be quality instruction going out to them. And it gives us an opportunity. For example, we added how the judicial system worked, because so many people didn't understand how is that person out walking the streets when they committed this crime.
Right.
Again, they think the sheriff has that authority to hold somebody in jail or not, but that's not how it works. So we're explaining some of the stuff that the judges are tasked with from the Supreme Court, the Bond Rule 33, for example. That was a game changer. Now the prosecutors and law enforcement has to get together and testify and retestify and show up for these hearings to show why this person's a danger to society.
Yep.
So, and then like I said in the beginning, law enforcement relationships with citizens is so important. So this is our fifth one that we did, fifth Citizens Academy. We expanded out beyond the Citizens Academy because you're spending that 12 weeks with these citizens. They've been vetted to get into the class. They're 18 years old. They don't have felony convictions. We know that their purpose is pure to be there, and they want to be there for good reasons. And we built relationships with them. So we have seized it for opportunities outside of that, for large-scale incidents. For example, the armed intruder, active shooter training, that takes a lot of people with role players to put on, and that gives us a foundation of people that we know and trust that's not going to give up some of our strategies when it comes to that. Heaven forbid, we have an armed intruder, active killer situation, and you have to do reunification, for example, at a school or at a faith-based facility, or even a workplace where you're moving people. Takes a lot of coordination to do that. So we have gotten groups of our Citizens Academy together, from the first class to the fourth class, and everything in between. And we brought that together for some training. Okay, this is how you can be beneficial in the county in the event that this catastrophe happens. We have covered some training on them on large scale searches. For example, if you've got to cover a big wooded area, 40 acres of woods, and you're looking for a minute piece of evidence from a crime, we go over the proper way to do that, and how to cover them grid searches, and how people can best facilitate and help us. If you would, for lack of a better term, you could call that a sheriff's posse, because we already have relationships built with these people. And they do a good job. We always task if you want to win people over, for everybody out there, if you're going to start a Citizens Academy, make sure you got food. So everybody brings, somebody's assigned each night, and they sign up and volunteer for it, to bring food or snacks and for everybody. So they've gotten together in the summertime before for barbecues, and everybody knows, hey, you make that really good brownies, bring them with you. So it just really builds that relationship and gets it in tighter. At the end of the day, truly, law enforcement can't do it alone. And we've been so successful in catching criminals by putting stuff out on social media, letting our citizens know, hey, we got a problem in this area, putting them on task. Or if something happens, hey, you're going to see a large police presence in this area because of this. If you see anything, say something. And we have captured people on manhunts, people that fled from vehicle pursuits, and even identifying fugitives that's been involved in heinous crimes that we've been trying to locate. So our citizens really step up to the plate and do that. And I think this is a direct reflection of the first Citizens Academy that we did, and building upon that and building relationships. And when you have, Sam, when you know somebody personally, you have that relationship where you can call that person, right, versus, I don't really know who the sheriff is of the county, and I feel weird calling. We would rather take them calls and them be nothing than somebody be the victim of a crime. So it's paid big dividends for us in Franklin County at the sheriff's office. We're very thankful for the Franklin County citizens for being involved and supporting law enforcement. I truly brag all the time. We're so blessed to have the citizens we have in our community. But it all boils down to relationships, and this is one way that we build upon that, and we allow people to come in and take an open, honest look, transparent look from the inside out, and give that basis of understanding that they might not know how it really works.
So you talked about in that first 2 hours is kind of them getting to know each other, and some of the instructors that are going to be doing it. What are some of the reasons that the folks give you that they're there to participate? Why do they do the Citizens Academy? What's their reasoning?
Most of the factor is, it seems a majority is, people want to be involved. People want to rid the streets of crime, and people want to be a part of the solution, not the problem. And we've also had a lot of people that has came to the academy that's got members of their families or friends that's in law enforcement, and they really don't know what they do every day. So it seems like the general theme is people want to help, and people want to make it a better place, and people want to support law enforcement. When you look at the national media that goes around the country, law enforcement sometimes gets a bad rap, and Missouri's in the Bible Belt, and Missouri's got a lot of good show me citizens that really care and engage with law enforcement. And like I say, I know we're blessed in the area that we're in, and people want to help out. Matter of fact, in the last year, we've had 2 citizens help our deputies that was in altercation. One of them was an altercation with a gun with a bad guy, and a citizen just stopped and helped out, put himself in harm's way. So we got a lot of good citizens out there, and people are hungry for that knowledge, and they want to be a part of something good, something bigger than themselves. So it's been a successful program for us. I know we're not the only sheriff's office that does the Citizens Academy. I'm just telling you some of the benefits and some of the ways that it strengthens our relationships and gives us the much needed resources that we need in large scale events.
Okay. So do they get involved in, handcuffing procedures and some defense tactics, searching a subject for contraband or anything like that? Do y'all go through?
We do. We go through the search and a lot of stuff when we're covering the jail, the intake, and the patrol aspect also. We also set up mock crime scenes,
Okay.
when the detectives are doing theirs, just so they can experience a mock crime scene and get a chance to take, okay, why does it take 4 hours to process a scene? Most people don't understand that, and they see how slow that has to be, slow, thorough, and methodical, because what you're doing in them hours worth of time is going to be challenged in court.
You have to be able to
Possibly-
recreate that crime scene where
Possibly for the next
exactly where
several years.
the shell was laying exactly on the concrete from the corner of this sign to the corner of this street or whatever, measuring that. It's pretty extensive.
And one thing that doesn't get confused on and doesn't lie on witnesses' accounts or suspect accounts is evidence. So you really have to slow that down and make sure you're doing a thorough investigation with our crime scene processing.
You said something that brought up a thought, and with the vision or the view of law enforcement in the community these days, with kind of having a not so popular view. Do you ever have anybody show up with maybe a malicious intent of why they're there to attend the class?
We have not, but to be honest with you, we have a pretty good vetting system, the application process. And some of them questions are asked ahead of time. Why do you want to attend that? But thus far, we haven't had anybody was there for any nefarious reason.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, we cap it at 20, 21 people. And now if we cut it off from that year, we put them first dibs for the next year coming up to try and allow them in. But it's been so successful. The first 2 years we advertised it. After that, we'll have the class full really before we have to advertise and say, hey, we're accepting applications now. Why? Because word of mouth travels, and the people that come to the class, we want to arm them with the knowledge to be able to defend their law enforcement officers in the county and to have that explaining why. And of course, we got a big presence on social media, but you'll see a lot of our past citizens that are, if somebody, for example, pipes off, oh, the sheriff's office keeps letting this guy out of jail, they'll get on there and explain, the sheriff's office doesn't have the authority to keep somebody in jail or not keep somebody in jail. They have the authority under probable cause to arrest.
Right.
But then it goes to the judicial system to handle that. So they'll explain the process and how it works. And to be honest with you, they'll even defend the judicial system and explain that the Bond 33 rule that came out, because that was a challenge when it comes to that. Use of force, and whenever we have a use of force or an officer involved shooting, our people are coming to our defense, but you always get them one. And to be honest with you, a lot of times the negative people that post on it are not even from our community. They're trolls that get on social media, and we have a lot of good people that will shake their profile down and be like, listen, you're not even from the state of Missouri. You need to go back and mind your own business because you don't know the facts and circumstances, and you don't understand this is a reputable law enforcement agency. So all in all, it's paid big dividends, and it gives us an opportunity, like I said before, and I can't say it enough, is to build them relationships, because you're more apt to contact somebody when you need something or something just doesn't seem right and you want to bounce it off somebody. And it's paid big dividends on getting criminals off the street.
So for maybe some other sheriffs or new sheriffs coming in or whatever, how do you advertise and how do you get people to come to your academy? What do you do?
Well, on our sheriff's office website, we have a application process on there. In the beginning, we advertise on our social media and with the local media groups, the radio and the newspapers. I talk about it on different radio shows, but like I say, the last 2 to 3 years, they've been full just by word of mouth. So if somebody's interested, or our Franklin County citizens are interested out there, I would encourage you to contact the sheriff's office and get a hold of Major Wild or myself, or get on our website, the Franklin County Sheriff's Office website, and you'll see a application process in that. So we usually try and start them in February, and we wrap it up the week before Mother's Day. The first year we didn't do that, but we found that so many people it's got kids scattered out across the country. We lost 3 or 4 students, and we're like, okay, that was one of the critiques. Don't let it run into Mother's Day. So we listen to the critiques, we back it up. The last night, so the first night is important. It's orientation. The last night, we have a catered meal. We have a graduation. We give out diplomas, a challenge coin, and then we reminisce and we talk about the experiences and give people a chance to talk about the highlights and stuff that they really enjoyed. And so overall, it's probably 10 weeks of instruction. The other is just working on relationships.
Okay. Do you have any maybe people that are wanting to be a law enforcement that come to the academy, the Citizens Academy, to try and just test it out to see if they actually want to come into this career?
We have had that. And then we've also had a couple of parents of younger citizens that wasn't quite old enough to join the academy yet, that wanted to get in law enforcement, and they wanted to come get a firsthand look to kind of reassure their hearts that and understand what they're getting into. Obviously, there's a lot of dangers when it comes to law enforcement, but it's such a rewarding career. Really, it is, and it's for a servant's heart. So we have had a couple of individuals that has expressed interest in joining the academy afterwards, but that hasn't quite come to fruition yet. Most of them that coming in are either retired or they work full-time jobs or already established somewhere else, and they just want to be involved in the community. And there's no better way to get involved than getting a open, honest inside look of how things really operate. And it's just not me teaching it and the chief deputy. We work with a lot of talented people. So we have the best of the best teach these, but our different division commanders that specialize in crimes against children, that specializes in jail superintendent stuff, that specializes in crime scene processing, that specializes in patrol and canine handling, that specializes in SWAT operations. So they're hearing it from a different variety and different voice for every time it comes in. So they're not just hearing it from me. They're getting an open, honest account in their own words from each individual.
All right. So I guess we're getting ready to end the show, Sheriff. Is there anything you would like to say to the citizens or anybody out there?
Well, for the citizens of the state of Missouri, first off, thank you for supporting law enforcement. And I would encourage you to get a hold of your sheriff to see if they offer a Citizens Academy and something you can be involved in and how you can be involved in helping that out. I know truly I'm friends with most of the sheriffs in the state of Missouri. You got 115 good constitutional sheriffs in the state of Missouri, and they care about their citizens. They're stronger together with the citizens of their county to help combat crime. So I would encourage you to reach out to your sheriff, support your local sheriff, and see what you can do to be a part of something bigger than yourself. And for the Franklin County citizens out there, every time I get a chance to tout on you guys, thank you guys for your support to law enforcement. We appreciate it, and we're very blessed to live in a community that supports law enforcement.
All right. Well, Sheriff, I want to thank you for coming in.
It's an honor to be here.
Good talk, and we'll end this episode of Sheriff's Talk with that. Thank you for watching. Please tune in next time for the next episode. All right. Thank you very much. This is the host of Sheriff's Talk, Sam Boyd. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to find out more about MSA or become a member, go to mosheriffs.com and click Become a Member. Hope to hear from you soon.